Welcome to the Melanin Jelly Project Conversations, a podcast that celebrates diversity and representation in children's storytelling, entertainment, and edutainment. I am the host, Olunosen Louisa Ivaze. On this podcast, I chat with authors and creators of children's books, entertainment, and edutainment. This is also a collaboration with the Ottawa Black Book Club. So hi, Dorraine Robinson. I'd like to welcome you to the Melanin Jelly Project podcast. My name is Olunosen Louisa Ivaze. I put together this podcast to celebrate representation and diversity in storytelling. I'm also a writer. I write for adults and recently started writing for children. So welcome again to this podcast. Dorraine is the author of GRANDAD and Me. So I'll let you do the honors. Tell us about yourself and your inspiration for writing this lovely intergenerational story.
Yeah. So good afternoon from London. My name is Dorraine Robinson. My name is Dorraine Robinson. I am 33 years old. I have a degree in youth and community studies, and I have about 12 going on 13 years of experience working with young people in secondary school education, and those are roles such as teaching assistant, head of year, and I'm currently working in the safeguarding and welfare department. Okay. So my passion is young people and supporting them through secondary education. And I'm loving safeguarding right now. You just understand young people from a different point of view in terms of sometimes being in school is the least of their worries. They actually just show up and are quite present. Okay. As you said, I am the author of GRANDAD and Me. I released my book in September the 3rd. So it's about 6 months old now. I guess my book journey started, however, in 2018, so around November. I couldn't sleep one night, and I just had all these thoughts and ideas that came to my head about writing a book about myself and my granddad. So whilst I was in bed, I took my phone and I just started dropping notes. And what is quite funny is, in my house and amongst my friends and family, I'm known as Sleeping Beauty because I love to catch a nap and I love to sleep. So the fact that I couldn't sleep that night, it was telling me something that I needed to just offload what was in my head. So I got my phone, started making notes, so like rhyming words, things that I used to get up to with my granddad, and just and then I left it in my phone for about a year and a half, about 2 years. Okay. And then I decided I then transferred the notes into a notebook, and then again left it. And then during lockdown, I was speaking to colleagues at work, and they were saying, you know what, go for it. My mom, my sister was saying, go for it. And it wasn't until last year, so the ending of December, I was having therapy, and my therapist was talking about tapping into things that you love and kind of having a sense of self-worth. And I thought, I've got a book sitting there that I've written. Why don't I try and find out how to get it out there if it's even possible? So I reached out to a number of Facebook groups, and just asking kind of like, where do I start? What do I do? And loads of people gave me ideas and feedbacks. And one recommendation that I had was for a lady called Daniela Blecher, who is she's the manager of Conscious Dreams Publishers. So I reached out to her and I said, I've got this book, I've got these ideas. I already had my illustrator, so I found an illustrator on Fiverr, the platform called Fiverr, and it was Tosin Akinwande. She lives in Nigeria, and so I got all my files and ideas and sent them to Danielle, and she was able to help me kind of put and build this book together. I guess my main inspiration for my book, as it says, is my granddad. So I grew up with him. He was the head of my family. I lived with him until he passed away. And he just we did everything together. And I just wanted my book to reflect that relationship that I had with him.
Oh, that's beautiful. So how important do you think intergenerational stories are for Black kids? Because, many people have the assumptions that, the general assumption that, Black kids, usually a single parent home, no father, sometimes the mom is on drugs. Many times they are left to grow up with their grandparents, which is not always true.
No, not.
So how important are intergenerational stories? Why did you have to live with your granddad?
So it's not that I had to live with my granddad. It was a family home, and everyone lived underneath this roof. So
okay.
My cousins, my mom, my dad was here too, and then obviously my granddad, his partner, and I think so. The importance of that relationship, intergenerational relationships, is the fact that you're seeing culture, you're seeing heritage, you're seeing your history before your eyes, and it gives you a sense of belonging, understanding of your heritage, your family, and you get to just understand the elders in a sense, and it's also just important to reflect those kind of morals and ground, I guess, rules that's been instilled in you into your family. That's what I believe anyway.
Okay. When I was reading your book, because Nigeria was colonized by the British, so the English we speak is pretty much the same words. And I came across allotment, and I just smiled. I said, "This sounds so Nigerian, allotment." Because because if it was written by an American, it would be, maybe guardian of land, something. Yeah. Yes, it would be very, very different. Yeah. So
it's things like that you get to. I guess if I wasn't with my granddad, I wouldn't know about allotments, I don't think, because my dad didn't go to an allotment. We went to the allotment with my granddad, helped him, and then he'd bring back the fruit and veg to the home. So it was just important to make sure that I put that in the book.
Okay. And I liked that this book was celebrating your grandfather, because I feel that many times granddads don't get their flowers. They only get their flowers at their funerals. Which is very sad. I feel that. So when I read this book, I was very happy. I actually had time to read this morning, because what I do is when I receive books, I read the books because they are children's books and I can read them quickly. I read them Friday nights or Friday evenings, then I read them again Saturday morning before I meet with the author, to chat. So I was happy about that this was celebrating granddads. My granddad is adventurous, my granddad is skillful, my granddad is stylish. Many granddads are stylish. I like that. I like that.
He was always dressed smart.
My granddad is amazing. My own granddad, I remember, even though I wasn't really very close to him, but he had the most beautiful handwriting. He learned, I think back in the day they were taught by the British, but he had the very beautiful, is it cursive? It's called. But he had a very beautiful handwriting. His signature, I haven't seen handwriting that beautiful yet.
Wow.
And then he passed at 110.
Wow.
He was 110. And I remember one time when I was in university, I needed to do a project on the history of my people and how I'm from there. So I had to travel to the village to go see him, to ask about the origin of my people and how my people came to be. And I remember my grandfather because he was a small man but slim. He always had this red leather sandals he would wear, and he would sit and he would cross his legs. Yes, he would always sit up straight and cross his legs. Towards the end, I didn't really get to see him much, but I always remember that. But he passed away at 110. So I remember that very well. You said my granddad is caring. In the caring part, I remember when he would come to visit and we would serve him a meal. Mm-hmm. There was a piece of meat or fish. After eating, he would So anytime you would serve him his meal, especially dinner, if there was because the way we serve food, there will always be a piece of meat or fish. If it was rice, there'll be fish. If it was fufu, there'll be fish or soup. He would take from that piece of meat, no matter how small, and he would cut them into tiny pieces, and he would share with us. Yes, he would always go, Louisa, I give you this. You know, he would always give us a piece. So most of the time when he was eating out, because we're still young, we would always hang around because we knew that once grandpa gets the meat or the fish, he's gonna give us, you know, he's gonna give us, yeah. So what are some of the challenges you feel that some authors encounter when they are trying to tell authentic intergenerational stories?
I think not everyone understanding kind of your story. For example, I've recently just translated Grandad and Me into French and Spanish.
Okay.
French version is coming out sooner than the Spanish version, and I was kind of asked to change words such as the allotment. I was asked to change that. In the book where I talk about my granddad and I dancing to music, and he calls it an old shingding. I was asked to change that. So I think others, a challenge can be viewers and not understanding, I guess, the language, your culture, and what it means to tell your personal story. And I think it's for us as authors to hang on to the authenticity of our own stories and ensure that it's not changed, because then it's not your authentic self. It wouldn't be my authentic story.
Okay. What are some tips you can give to aspiring authors who would like to write? Like, I write for adults, and I started writing for children.
Yeah.
And in my children's book, there are grandparents. Yes, they are grandparents. So if somebody an aspiring author was going to write a story about grandparents and experiences with children, what are some of the tips you can give them to say, this is how I feel the story will work, this is how I feel you should write it? I mean, you can't tell them exactly how to write it, but you can give them tips.
Yeah.
So what are some of
I think definitely think about your own relationship with your grandparent if you've had that experience and that opportunity to grow up with your grandparents. Think about the happy moments. Ask people about their relationship with grandparents, because then that may actually trigger some kind of memory for yourself. Okay. Definitely make the story and the experience of the characters quite a happy and fun one. Because you know that I think the young people of today think old people are just old and the young people of today, they're not aware of what wealth and experience and knowledge that older people, grandparents have. So I think when you're telling your story, ensure that you tap into the wisdom of a grandparent and all the qualities that grandparents can have.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you feel that with publishing? Because you spoke about, conscious
dreams publishers.
Yes, and it's interesting that the first author I just finished interviewing also worked with this person with Conscious Dreams Publishing. So that means and I think it's sort of it's a hybrid formula, right?
Yeah,
some sort of hybrid. Yeah. What are some of the challenges you feel that as diverse authors we experience when trying to get published? Why do you think that it is more difficult for us to get traditionally published?
Again, because the faces behind those publishers, they can't relate. Maybe they don't even try to relate to us, and they can't see through our vision and our experiences. So they, again, like I said, they try to dummy down our ideas or want us to change words and change characters and for the likes of them. And I think that's not the reality of what's happening in today's society. So it's really important that such people like Danny is able to bring Black authors' stories to life. and actually, to be quite honest, I didn't have any challenges working with Danny. She was able to advise me. She was able to steer me in the right directions, but ultimately I had all the autonomy of my book. So she, like I said, she would put me in contact with the typesetter, and they would give me ideas and I was able to choose. But there wasn't that one occasion where she would say, oh, I don't think that idea suits the audience of your book. She allowed me to kind of run with what I wanted my book to be.
Okay. And in your character, because I'm looking at your character, your main, let me see, can you see it? So I'm looking at your main character here. And did you have to work with the illustrator on this, or it was the illustrator's idea?
No, so it was my idea. And if you have a look right at the back, you'll see a photograph of, it's not actually me, but it's my cousin and my grandpa.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So that is what I gave the illustrator. That's what I gave Tosin, and I said to her, please try and make my characters look as much as this photo as possible. I told her that I wanted the little girl to be dark skinned. I wanted her to have some braids. I wanted her to have puffs as well, and wear clothes that I remember wearing, like a denim dress and socks. So yeah, we worked together. We definitely did work together.
Okay.
To bring my characters to life. Well,
how do you think that as diverse authors we can support each other? How do you think we can help each other get our books out there, get our stories out there?
So definitely promoting, using platforms like this to speak about our stories, the challenges, what's gone well, and also I guess recommendations as well. I think that really goes a long way. Promoting on social media, I know that's a huge thing. As well as that, I know when we started, you said you liked my background. I actually sell children's multicultural books and toys. So children's books with Black characters, that's what I sell. So I've reached out to wholesalers and I kind of resell books for the retail price. So even using our businesses to get other authors out there.
Okay. So as a bookseller, do you order books from Ingram Spark? I don't know how that works.
So I've only been ordering my book from Ingram Sparks, but I reach out to what are they called? I can't remember the whole.
Scholastic Books.
Scholastic Books. I've got an account with them. And there's another one that I use, and I just get the books at discounted prices, wholesale prices, and then just resell at pop-up markets, fairs, and I'm also trying to get into school events and fairs.
Okay, because I was told, and I'm asking this question because for listeners who use Ingram Spark, because I remember when I was trying to get my book into bookstores, and I had said, because I self-published. I'm going to show you my books. So I have this one. Somebody from France had reached out to me that she wanted to stock the books in her bookstore. So this is Crowning Glory, and it talks about the history of African hair tradition. So Bantu knots.
Oh, I love the illustrations.
Yes, Bantu knots. In fact, the illustrator now lives in the UK, so I can't afford him anymore. So this is the goddess Oshun that in the Yoruba folklore was believed to have been the first hairdresser.
Oh,
and
wow.
These are hairstyles that, in the time of slavery, were means of communication and means of expressing ourselves. And I was just teaching about hairstyles in different African cultures.
Oh, wow.
So in this book, yes, I also have, because I started my job, my very first proper job was as an English teacher.
Oh,
so
nice.
in the book, yes, I have a teaching guide. I have a teaching guide in the book, and I think kids seem to be obsessed with word search.
Oh, nice. Yeah, interactive. That's really good.
So I have this, and then the book 2, because the series is called Africa is Not a Country series. So this is the book 2, which is an introduction, the African Safari, an introduction to Africa's indigenous